Hello, my name is Stevie Martin with the Avaya Serviceability Engineering team. This video will take a look at how to set up the SIP endpoints for Avayalive Engage Release 3.0, allowing you to use the phone icons in the environment. Before we go into configuration of the SIP endpoints in Avayalive Engage 3.0, I want to point out to those who are familiar with the previous releases that was formerly called Web.Live that the appearances of the phones have changed for Release 3.0 and their locations. The phones now are icons that are either embedded in the pedestal in the conference rooms or in the walls, as shown in this example directly in front of you. If the phone endpoints are not configured for that Avayalive Engage environment, when you click on the phone and bring up the pop-up dial pad, you will see Not Configured in the display at the top. A configured endpoint environment will show an empty display at the top unless the fixed URL has been previously defined, which we will discuss later. To modify the telephony endpoint information, you go to the Administrative panel, the Environment tab. Once the page is loaded, you scroll down to the bottom of the page and you select Telephony. As an administrator, you configure the telephone to dial a fixed application or voice over IP endpoint, such as a conferencing server. The telephone always dials the voice over IP endpoint that you configure, and the user cannot use it to dial any other number. You can configure the telephone to enable the user to dial any voice over IP endpoint. Avayalive Engage uses SIP to enable voice over IP communication. The voice over IP endpoint is a SIP user agent. Once the phone has been configured, only authenticated users in the environment can use the virtual phones available in that environment. We will not use the realm field. A realm is a way to associate a group of users and the protocol used to verify the credentials of those users. One item to note is the virtual phone field. You can select this field to specify which individual phone you want to use a SIP ID for. It also will show a pop-up which will tell you where the location of the phones are in that environment. If you want to copy the same ID to all the phones, you will fill in the information and you would select Copy to All Phones before you select the Apply button. The first field you fill in would be the SIP ID. This identifies the call that the user initiates from the virtual telephone in the environment. And it must be in the form of a SIP URL. It can also contain a display name such as Big Meeting Room or whatever designation you wish to use to identify that particular phone if you're not setting up for all phones in the environment. We leave the realm empty for this example. Our user ID specifies the ID of the user that you want Avayalive Engage to use when you're authenticating with the SIP server. If you don't enter a value here, you can't make a call. You would enter the password. You also need the proxy, which specifies the IP address or domain name server of a SIP proxy server to send call invites. If you don't enter a proxy here, Avayalive Engage will try to send a call invite directly to the call destination. You would enter a fixed SIP URL only when you want that particular phone to be able to dial one specific voice over IP endpoint. Leave this field blank in all other scenarios. For your auto dial sequence, this specifies a pre-configured number that can be dialed automatically when the user goes off hook and is dialed after a connection is established. Refer to the documentation if you want even more details on this particular capability. Once you've copied this information to all the phones, if you want every phone in the environment to use it, you would click Apply. By clicking Apply, you will restart the environment, so be aware who may be in that environment at that time, as they would be kicked out. Once you've completed your configuration, you'll want to make a quick test call to make sure it works. Once this is done, you're fully configured and set up to make phone calls from Avayalive Engage environment. If you want additional details and information on telephony in the environment, please contact your Avaya representative and refer to the documentation that is available. Thank you for your time today. We welcome comments, questions, and feedback at mentor@avaya.com or on Twitter at AvayaMentor. For more details or related information, please visit support.avaya.com. Thank you for choosing Avaya.